All right, hello and welcome, dear listener. I'm Adam.
I'm Shaun.
And I'm Mike.
And for one last time, we're going to talk about the Gorlame, the Arrivederci, the great Quentin Tarantino, and his last film to date, which would be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But before that, Shaun has graced us once again, yet again, with a beer tasting here. So, Shaun, what'd you bring us tonight?
Well, you know, gentlemen, I've heard a lot of talk lately about mocktails and near beers and people who are still enjoying the, I guess, the companionship, the community of drinking, but without the alcoholic necessity. And since I am already 3 sheets to the wind on the margaritas we've been vibing earlier today, I thought, you know, let's change it up a little bit. I've been really curious to see, are non-alcoholic beers any good? Because honestly, as a kid, you give me a beer, I'd be like, what the fuck is that? Why do people drink this?
Right.
Yeah.
But as you become more of a discerning palate and your palate evolves, you start to realize that there are nuances to the flavor and you enjoy beer for the flavor too. I don't drink beer really to get drunk anymore. I drink it because I like the taste of like a good porter or something like that. And I thought, well, let's see what these things have to bring when there is no alcohol in it.
Yeah.
So if you guys are willing to join me on this, this rated G journey.
Rated G.
So tonight we are enjoying Sam Adams non-alcoholic IPA called Just the Haze. It's hazy, juicy, and refreshing according to the can. The thing at our local grocer there said that it is America's #1 non-alcoholic beer.
Oh, I did not know.
More than O'Doul's.
Same.
So it's it even says it. It says it on the box. Best non-alcoholic beer in America. It won
More than O'Doul's. It says it on the box.
Is it really?
No.
2022 gold. Something too small because I don't have my readers on.
Probably.
God, I'm getting old.
It also says contains less than 0.5% alcohol. That's not zero.
Well,
That's
you know.
true.
So if you drank a case of these, conceivably you might catch a buzz.
You might have a beer.
Well, do you want to hear their process?
Yes.
Shall I?
Yes, please. Here we go.
Shaun is in fine voice tonight, by the way.
Thank you.
Listen to the bonus cast if you don't know what we're referring to.
With this Samuel Adams non-alcoholic brew, we remove the alcohol slowly and gently, leaving all the rich flavors of a world-class IPA. It's hazy, hoppy, and
Happy.
and brewed with pride and attention to detail. Cheers.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
fantastic, man. That was really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I would buy your R&B album.
Even my like breaking character in the middle of it. Oh my god. This is the sad thing. I'm 42 fucking years old and I need bifocals. What? I can't read the goddamn can.
That comes from a lifetime of reading
awesome.
students' papers.
Ah, you're
That's
right.
true.
You're
That
right.
is true.
This is the pain of the English teacher.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, let's try this happy beer.
Crack them. Oh, I can't even get the damn thing to crack.
Aw,
There it goes.
there.
That was nearly cracked.
So, this is, honest to God, to the best of my recollection, the first time in my life that I have ever had a non-alcoholic beer.
Same.
And it's fine. It's good.
It is.
I mean, honestly, if you put this in a glass and gave it to me, I don't feel like I'd be worried that I was drinking one of those 9 or 10% hazy IPAs.
No.
But I'd believe you that this was a beer with alcohol in it.
I'm not an IPA guy. You guys know that. So for me, it's like I'm pushing it. It's got a decent flavor, but I don't know. Maybe am I imagining it? Is it the placebo effect? There's like a bite that's just not there.
No, I don't think you're imagining it. With a hazy IPA, I usually get more like grapefruit, and I think that's that bite you're talking about. With this, I'm getting more pineapple. Like it's a little tamer.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it might just be the hops they use.
It could be that too. Yeah.
You know, it's hard to tell.
Well, they did slowly and gently remove the alcohol.
I mean, you got all night. Right? That should be their slogan for this.
Yes.
You got all night. I wrote that for you.
Because you're not getting drunk, so you got nothing to worry about.
Damn, I just want to get it over with.
Oh, well, then you need to grab like a pastry stout or something at 15%.
Oh, shit. Pastry stout.
Awesome.
You know what, though? Honestly, I'm not an IPA guy, but it does not taste bad.
No, it's fine. It's good. I mean, if I had a reason to not be drinking an alcoholic beer, I would be very happy with this.
Yeah. No, same here.
You can still feel like you're a part of the crew, and I mean, we're driving home and things like that, and you're like, you still had a beer. I'm not sure how that works then. Does the officer smell beer on your breath?
They still have to breathalyze you.
Well, I guess if it comes to that, they can do a field sobriety or they can do a breathalyzer, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're drinking, if you drink like a 6-pack of non-alcoholic beer, I would opt for the breathalyzer so you don't screw up the field sobriety.
I'm really fucking tempted now to down like 6 of these and have my state trooper buddy like go through a whole thing and like do a test on me and all that and see what happens. That'd be hilarious.
So if you're listening and you're one of my friends and you're in the law enforcement field, you know who you are. 1, 2. Bring your breathalyzer next time we get together, please and thank you. Okay. See how this works.
I don't know if this is probably not exactly how the math works, but like 0.5, and it's less than 0.5, but let's say 0.5, right?
Yeah.
So 6 beers, would that be equivalent to a 3% beer? A beer with 3%? That would be
like a Mick Ultra or something?
That would still be.
That's essentially.
I think
coolers,
Mick Ultra is more than 3%.
Yeah.
I think that even those are like 4 point something.
Well, I mean, I didn't have to get carded to buy this, so I mean, there's probably more alcohol in like some cooking products.
So how many of these would you have to drink to get to like the equivalent of a 5% beer?
Oh man, that's like a MythBusters.
10.
I gotta drink a keg of non-alcoholic beer in order to
10. Yeah.
Dude, that guy did the most epic keg stand ever.
Oh my god.
How are you standing, bro? Yeah. So
I don't even feel a thing. I'm good.
Yeah. We might be defeating the whole idea of the non-alcoholic thing by encouraging them to go to parties and like trick other people into thinking they're drinking.
Fucking shotgunning on 8 beers.
Yeah.
That guy's a badass.
Whoa.
He's funneling like 8 beers.
But
he's not even slurring his words.
Remember, Sam Adams, we said all this. You want a sponsor? We're
Yes.
open to sponsorships.
Right.
We'll ship your beer.
Yeah, this beer,
I dig it.
honestly, it's not bad. And again, I think if you're looking at it, it does say clearly non-alcoholic IPA.
Yeah.
But you can pour this in a glass and no one's going to know what the hell you're drinking. And I don't feel left out with like this. This is fine. Yeah. And I honestly, the whole mocktail, like way things are going with that and all that, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I think, people still want to be social and not have to deal with the sloppiness of being drunk or the potential consequences.
Yep.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Legal
Absolutely.
consequences aside, hangovers get worse as you get old.
That's true.
God,
This
absolutely
sucks.
true.
Oh my God.
One of my favorite online writers is Drew Magry. Shout out to Drew Magry, who writes for Defector and GQ and other places. And he's a teetotaler now because he had an issue with a brain injury.
Ooh.
It's something that happened a couple of years ago. And he talks about how he drinks mocktails and things like that when he's out with people and that, and how he doesn't really miss it at all. And it's, it's interesting just to see, obviously we all come from the same college background, right? You got to drink to get drunk. And that's like the whole point.
Right. Yeah.
But, I think the older we get, the more we realize that sometimes it's more about the experience of the flavors and the taste and being with people and that kind of camaraderie. So it's definitely got its place.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's a ton of breweries making non-alcoholic beers. Athletic makes a ton, like of every kind. I think every major brand has at least maybe the top 5 not the Coors,
right?
Labatt. Actually, Labatt's does have an NA, but yeah, they're all making them now because they're realizing like they don't want to exclude like any audience. You can include more people if
it's a growing market for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say as someone who has a 40-minute drive home tonight and someone who's had 2 excellent tall margaritas so far that were not non-alcoholic, this is good. This, in the parlance of Quentin Tarantino, that hit the spot.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hit the spot.
Oh, man. All right. So I think we're kind of like delaying, but in Quentin Tarantino fashion, just kind of bantering a bit. I don't know that I'm looking forward to the end of the Tarantino era for this cast because it's been really enjoyable for me.
I really, I was like when we planned this whole thing, what was that, 4 or 5 months ago or whatever? Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah.
I was like, a kid looking forward to the Christmas presents. I'm a huge Tarantino fan, always have been. And I have loved going back and rewatching all these movies and talking about them. I've been so much looking forward to this one in particular, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, a little sad to be done talking about Tarantino afterwards.
Well, we always have to look forward to the 10th film.
True.
What I've heard is that the idea is already like established and ready to go.
The film critic. Right?
The film critic. Yeah, there's actually a title for it. Yeah.
It's sadly not going to be the Star Trek.
No, that is sad.
But I think, again, I love his whole, I'm going to do 10 movies.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Right.
And I love that idea because it's like, it's almost like he's creating a rarity, how like some like manufacturers of things will only make a limited run.
Right.
Because they know it'll increase its value over time.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Like the guy could make as much shit as he wants to and people are going to buy tickets.
Oh yeah.
But he only wants to make what he wants to make and it's going to represent whatever he wants it to represent. And I think that is artistry to the max. It's brilliant.
Yeah, he's like a, I don't know, the literary equivalent might be like a Cormac McCarthy, right?
Yeah.
He only did so many books and most of those are absolute masterpieces. And you might go 8, 10, 12 years in between, right? Or the acting equivalent might be like Daniel Day-Lewis, right? He only did so many movies,
right.
But they were all freaking amazing performances.
Everything to those performances.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So, Mike, you seem the most passionate about this. Do you want to lead us into Once
sure.
Upon a Time
Ever since it came out, you have been on fire.
Oh
about
my
this
gosh,
movie.
we've had to hold this man back.
I know. Yeah. Speaking of like, getting intoxicated, as we were just doing a moment ago, I was like the guy in the bar who was like, got his friends there, like, hold me back. I'm going to go get him. But I have been saving it for this cast because, this movie, man, when it came out, I could tell just from the commercial that I was going to fucking love this. The trailer when it came out, it was, I have already spoken at length about how much I admired Inglourious Bastards, how much I admired Django Unchained, liked Hateful Eight very much. But I was at a point where I kind of missed like the Tarantino hangout movie, the Jackie Brown, the Pulp Fiction. I wanted something that was less plot and more dialogue. And I wanted something that felt, like it had some, like Pulp Fiction had this like very, serious like zeitgeist aesthetic to it, and so I missed that aspect of Tarantino very much. And you could tell from the trailer that was going to be this kind of movie. But even that being the case, that didn't mean it had to be great, right? But I remember going to see this, in the theater. And it was the last movie I saw in the theater, it turned out, for a long time, because then the pandemic hit shortly after. This was late 2019, I think, when this movie came out. But I remember watching this whole movie and just being like, this is fucking fantastic. And I could tell, even as I was watching it then, that it's the type of movie that you could come back to and back to and back to, and you would find more to appreciate about it. Little things you didn't notice the first time, the second time, the third time, you'd see it the fourth time. Little acting tweaks or like aspects of the dialogue or the way the music fits in. It's just one of those movies that it just seemed to me the first time I watched it, like it would reward multiple watches. Now, I said with Inglourious Bastards and I said with Django Unchained that I had to hold myself back from saying it's better than Pulp Fiction. And, sure enough, multiple watches over the years, I was like, that it's not better than Pulp Fiction. They're super good. They're in the discussion, but Pulp Fiction remains the masterpiece. Once Upon a Time, I was wise enough by that point to say, all right, I'm not going to say this prematurely. I got to see this a couple more times. But I've now seen this movie 5 or 6 times since 2019. Yeah. And I can say without reservation, in my opinion, this is his absolute masterpiece. It is not his last film, but what an epic conclusion to his career it would be if it were his last film.
Is it the penultimate?
Well, I mean, yeah, who knows? Who knows? I mean, if anyone can one up this film, it's this guy. But I swear, I mean, I think this movie is literally perfect in every way. You know, we'll talk about it, but I was so impressed from the first time. I've rewatched it so many times and I like it better each time.
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it was, nominated for 10 and won 2 Academy Awards. So, you know, tying Django. I don't remember if Hateful got any.
I think it was a couple of technical awards that it was at least nominated for, but I'm not positive if it won any of them.
What were the 2 it won? Just out of curiosity. Probably Brad Pitt, Best Supporting Actor would be a guess. And
Looking now. Best Screenplay.
Screenplay. That makes sense.
And yeah, Best Supporting Actor.
Okay.
For Pitt. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So you're on it.
Oh, so by the way, Hateful Eight won the Oscar for Ennio Morricone's Best Original Score, which we really didn't mention much about, but rest in peace.
So interesting thing, I learned, I don't know, sometime in the last couple of years, movies cannot be nominated for a Best Soundtrack Oscar if they don't have all original music.
Best Original Score. It
Right.
was all written just
so
for that movie.
I think this might be, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it might be, Hateful Eight might be the only Tarantino movie with no unoriginal music on it.
It is 100% written just for that movie.
Yeah.
Jennifer Jason Leigh was nominated for Best Actress.
Oh, okay.
And Robert Richardson was nominated for Best Cinematography. So it was 3 nominations, 1 win.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
I mean, percentage-wise, 1 more of the nomination.
There you go.
God, but, you know, do you want to lead us in the plot, Mike, as we go?
Whoa,
here?
I didn't say anything about
Fine,
it.
Sean. Fine. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, buddy.
I was going to say, you know, my entire history of this film is colored by Mike's enthusiastic love of the movie.
Yeah.
I had no concept of it until I heard the poetic waxing of Mike about how incredible this movie is.
From a different building.
I was so afraid that I might have oversold it. I hope I didn't. That was a concern.
This is going back to 2019, and Mike just be like, "This is the greatest thing ever," and just being completely gobstopped by it. I did not have the opportunity to see it at the time, even though I really wanted to. It was just a busy time in my life, and honestly, the first time I've seen it was recently, and you know, I have to say, I share a lot of your enthusiasm for it. I don't know if I put it in there as my number 1 Tarantino movie. I think he's got so many like eclectic things that it's really hard to pinpoint which one is the one that is my go-to.
Yeah.
But it is certainly one that I will watch again.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I really, like you said, I want to watch it again to catch all the things that just escaped my notice when I was just awestruck by so many things the first time. So I thoroughly enjoy it. I don't know yet if it's that place for me, so I have to put that little bit of a pin in
it. He's one of those guys where, you know, it's like pick your favorite Scorsese movie, you know? I mean, that's a very personal thing. So, you know, they're all great. There's a case to be made for so many of them.
It's interesting, again, how he gets into that, like, I guess it's like do what you know, right? And it's like, it's film. It's a movie about film. Mm-hmm. Which I guess is where he's going with the next one with the film critics. So it's part of that. We talk about the phases of Tarantino's career where you go from the heist, you go to like the Ronin kind of figure, you go to the revisionism thing, which this is firmly in for sure. Right. But it's also that transitional, like, no, this is a movie it's meta. It's a movie about movies, and it becomes more about that now. And that I think is one of its more interesting facets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I have to admit, I hadn't seen this in the theaters. It wasn't really on my radar. I'm not sure why. Really, I guess maybe more than anything, just because I don't go see many movies in the theaters nowadays. If I do, it's going to be for some huge thing, like when we saw Dune, for example.
Right. Frozen 2.
Well, you know what?
Well, that's the other thing.
I did see Frozen 2 in theaters.
as did I.
Yeah, I do want to build a snowman.
I would say most of the movies I see in theaters these days is because I took my kids to the movies.
Don't worry, guys. There's the cast about Frozen 2 is coming out soon.
There you go.
And we are so pumped for that one. Dude, I hope I didn't oversell it.
Should we do a Pixar cast? That'd be kind of interesting. Or a Disney cast?
I'll be all right with that. I'll be all right.
That'd be fascinating. Juice our numbers with a Disney thing.
just drop all the Disney
Is
words.
Shrek? Is that Pixar?
No,
No,
it's
that's
DreamWorks.
DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Okay, I fucking love Shrek.
Nah, sorry,
1 and
man.
2. Just
Yeah.
1 and 2.
I am really shocked by how many kids these days love Shrek for whatever reason. Like, my kids talk
It's
about how
weird.
big it is in their school. Like, everyone
Yeah.
loves Shrek. I'm like, Shrek?
Oh,
Fucking Shrek?
man.
There's weird
I love
nostalgia
that
in the
movie.
buildings based on like different eras. The Bee Movie had a huge
Yeah.
friggin' cult
What is
following in my
that?
classes a few years ago.
Really? The one with, was
The
that Jerry
fucking
Seinfeld?
Bee Movie with Jerry Seinfeld?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Oh, wow.
one? Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I don't understand. But, so, like, I get it, in a way. Spin-off cast or something, because I don't want to alienate the nerds who I just promised in the last cast we were going back to other things.
Yeah.
PG nerds.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. I think maybe for a while I wasn't into like period pieces, and I think Once Upon a Time is very much that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's the golden age of Hollywood, and you know, like I enjoyed La La Land, which was also, well, it's a modern. I guess it's a modern take on like the like classic musical love story. And I think I got vibes of that, like a modern take on like the classic Hollywood, and that just wasn't my jam, but I also probably didn't pay attention to the director at the time.
Yeah.
And now that I've seen all of his work, would see anything he put out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to say why I didn't at this point, except for I was young and dumb. I don't know, I didn't see it, dude.
You pick up a good point here, because this is definitely that, you know, Hollywood, if nothing else, is very narcissistic.
What?
And it loves to self-indulge. Like, most musicals are about the musical industry, right? And like things like that. It's like there's some sort of like element where a lot of it has to do with making movies or making musicals or whatever. And this is sort of like Tarantino's bent on this idea of like, well, this is a movie about guys who make movies, you know, stuntman and an actor,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's a lot of nuance to that whole thing. But he takes that and superimposes it over a Charles Manson story.
Right.
Which is like so Tarantino. It's like it's almost smacks of parody in a way,
Right.
because it's like, wow, well, who the fuck marries those two things together into a cohesive movie, and somehow it fucking works.
Well, yeah, and that's why I used the word zeitgeist before, because he's this movie is almost a love letter to the era that influenced him so heavily.
Yeah,
And he comes at it not just in terms of the movies, but the music. This is, even by his standards, this is a heavy needle drop movie.
yeah.
I mean, so much of this movie is just people driving around in cars changing the radio station and different snippets of great old songs come on. And, so it's very much the pop culture, but it's also, you know, the time period. You know, the aura, you know, there's the whole conflict between like the older Hollywood and like the emerging new Hollywood, all stuff we'll talk about, I'm sure. The
That's
conflict,
DiCaprio's character, more his bent, his
Right.
arc. Yeah,
right. Versus, you know, we'll get into all this stuff, but there's like that, you know, not 8-year-old girl who's like, you know, the Marlon Brando-esque method actor. And that's one of the best scenes ever.
Yeah, it's great.
So it gets into all that, and it brings in it sets it against the backdrop of the historical stuff too, you know, and people point to, whether they should or not, people point to like the Manson murders as like the end of the 60s, right? It was like the thing that killed like the hippie, like happy, moment
Loves,
and like, and transitioned into like the more cynical 70s and everything. And so he kind of sets it against that backdrop. I also love how Manson himself is really not a huge part of this.
No.
Like the movie was
30 seconds.
Exactly. And the movie was mistakenly pitched, or not pitched, misrepresented that way in the media early on. People were like, oh, it's a movie about Manson and his cult. And then of course it turned out to not really be about that at all. But
if you read a little bit about it, and there's a movie I like, I go and I read about it. I guess it was more of, Tarantino said he had researched Sharon Tate a lot, and he wanted to show a better side to her, not just as this victim of this horrible crime,
right,
but who she was as a real person. And it's more of like, I guess, a Sharon Tate movie.
Yeah.
And that transitional Hollywood phase, and it is about the Manson that whole thing.
Right.
But, that point about going from the free love hippie movement more into the cynical 70s is actually a really good point with the whole, what's going on the Spahn Ranch. And that's more of Brad Pitt's, like his whole character story in this. So it's, you also mentioned real quick, the cars.
Yeah.
As a
I thought you might pick up on
oh,
this.
guys. And I know you mentioned period pieces earlier, but that's the one thing I always look at is the authenticity of the cars. Because that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, anybody who doesn't know a whole lot about like automobiles and things might think, oh yeah, it's a bunch of old cars, and you don't know how hard it is to bring together that many vintage classic automobiles that all look awesome and period and perfect for that time.
Right.
In those scenes, and to have the eclectic mix that he was able to put together from DiCaprio and Pitt's like Cadillac to his Carmen Ghia convertible to the Porsche to the I don't know what the hell Roman Polanski was driving, to all these things, the piece of crap that the Mansonites were driving, like all that stuff. That's a character in the film too, and it really is such a part of it. It's that it wouldn't work if they didn't put the effort and the detail into it. And there's an industry in Hollywood actually devoted to people who collect and maintain and keep fleets of vintage cars just for these occasions. And it was showcased beautifully in this.
There have to be entire backlots filled with like Chevys and like Oldsmobiles and
there are guys who they make their money loaning those cars out to productions like this.
That's super interesting. And the cars are prominently featured in so many scenes. And in fact, the last shot of the movie, they walk into the house and you're looking at two gorgeous, late 60s sports cars in Roman Polanski's driveway as the title of the movie comes up and they start to do the credits and stuff. That's the last thing you see. Yeah, so let's get into it. This scene, or the opening scene in this film is, I think juxtaposed with like some of the previous movies in terms of like we talked about the epic opening to Inglourious Bastards with like the guy chopping wood and the Nazi cars approaching, right? It's like this, this intense gravity. We went on and on about that. Same thing in Django. We talked about like, the slaves being led through the forest and Christoph Waltz emerging and, that whole thing. And, obviously Hateful Eight, like the gorgeous backdrop and the carriage and all that stuff. And here it's like, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the very first thing you see is that interview, right? Where it's like Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt getting interviewed and, what's the silly like penis joke that Brad Pitt
carries a load.
That's right. And then he's like, I guess you could say I carry his load, and they all chuckle about that and everything. And then it goes into Al Pacino as like the movie agent.
Yes.
And he brings you up to speed on who Rick Dalton is and like goes kind of through his career as a TV star, and he tried to become a movie star, kind of failed at that. Now he's fading. And he explains to Rick Dalton early, like, this is a common Hollywood gimmick where they're going to keep bringing you back as a bad guy. And then the young guy kills you. What the audience sees is like the hot new star killing you off. And before you know it, you're gone. And these guys are the big ones. Right. And then that sets up the whole premise of the movie. But my point is like these scenes, unlike several previous Tarantino movies, are very low key kind of, and it sets a tone for the movie. It's very dialogue driven. Right off the bat, you gotta listen to who these characters are and what they're talking about. And it's a very different kind of movie.
It's very personal.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of sweeping vistas. There's really not a whole lot of big establishing shots, like very limited and more medium and close up kind of stuff going on in this whole thing. So it's much more intimate in that regard. And it's starting that whole tone with this interview with these two guys and giving us like the protagonists immediately I'm an aging television star and this is my stuntman and like obviously we're like bros.
Yeah.
And that's how they start this whole thing. And then you start getting into that's all bullshit. He can't drive. He lost his license because he's a drunk and that whole kind of thing. And now we know, he's kind of like his like manservant Kato kind of figure here.
Kato, wow.
Which comes up later, I guess, honestly, with Bruce Lee and that whole like weirdness that was all of that. It's
Yeah. So that, and that also sets, it gives you a good sense of who the main characters are as well. Like Rick Dalton is very un-Leonardo DiCaprio-esque.
Two films back to back.
Yeah.
Well, not back to back.
He wasn't a hateful, yeah.
Yeah.
But DiCaprio's usually, he plays very intense dramatic roles. He's not known for his he's certainly not known for his comedy, right? Mm-hmm. And right off the bat, we get the sense of this guy who's like, he's kind of an emotional wreck and like he's kind of lost his identity and he's having this midlife crisis and all this stuff. And then Brad Pitt just plays like, who you imagine Brad Pitt would be in real life. I don't know if he really is or not, but that's what you imagine Brad Pitt would be like in real life.
Super chill, cool dude.
Yeah, yeah.
A couple of things about that real quick. All right, so first of all, Samuel L. Jackson's not in this movie at all, is he?
I don't think so.
How many Tarantino movies is he not in? It's got to be like
Reservoir Dogs,
2,
right?
Right? It's like 2 movies that Samuel L. Jackson is not in the entire
Reservoir Dogs,
verse.
and then I would have to watch Death Proof again to know if he was.
Oh, maybe he wasn't in Death Proof.
Yeah, so maybe just those.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2 out of 9.
Wow. So the and this Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so it'll be 3.
3, excuse me. Yeah.
But oh shit, that totally sidetracked my whole thing about what were you saying again?
Brad Pitt and how he plays Brad Pitt, and DiCaprio plays an un-DiCaprio-esque part, and the opening scenes establish those guys not helping. Too much non-alcoholic beer.
Non-alcoholic beer.
This 0.5% threw us over.
Oh man, it'll come to me in the middle of somebody else saying something, but I had a point to make about something that sounded profound at the moment, but fuck if I can remember what it is.
It was too profound. It wasn't meant to last.
No,
it was ethereal.
It's a compliment to Samuel L. Jackson. He's so cool. He just,
he's beat the shit right out of my head, man.
Yeah.
Well, so they leave the restaurant. DiCaprio's crying, right? And Brad Pitt has to give him his sunglasses to cover up his eyes, which is I remember the first time I watched this movie thinking, oh, this is Brad Pitt's movie. He's fucking awesome in this movie. I think he stole the show. But the more times I've watched this movie, he's still awesome, but I'm like, this is DiCaprio's movie, man. Like it's one of those things you appreciate more the more times you watch it. Like he's fucking awesome. He plays so against the typical DiCaprio character, and he is so goofy and like emotional and over the top in all these scenes. I think he acted his ass off. I don't know. That's just what I've come to think after seeing it multiple times. But the first time I saw it, I was like, this is Brad Pitt's movie. He's fucking awesome in it.
I think they split the load evenly.
Oh, they're both great.
They both carried
the load.
Oh yeah. I honestly I found myself gravitating more towards Pitt's character. That was one of the things I was going to ask. The point about him killing his wife, I think was a really interesting point that again is never resolved.
Right.
Like there's this creepy whole like, he got away with it, whatever. Right. He killed her, and they show that quick flashback. Right. He's holding the spear gun, and that's it. You don't know. But then you're left with this. This guy does not seem like the kind of guy who would do something like that intentionally. But
they also tell you, he's a war hero, right? Mm-hmm. So they do that. There's the unresolved question of whether or not he killed his wife,
right?
And so. There's all these scenes where you're like, oh man, he's a cool dude. He's a stand-up guy.
He kicks Bruce Lee's ass at
right?
one point.
But then there's these other parts too where like, I mean, when he fights the hippie on the Spawn Ranch, that's brutal. Like that's not like a fight, right? That's a fucking assault. Like that is close up, repeatedly punching him in the face, throwing him into the car. So I think you're meant to think that way about his character. And I brought this book because I thought it might come up.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
This is not
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, this book is not the novelization of the movie. It's not like there's a movie and then they just novelized it.
Yeah.
This, what Quentin Tarantino tried to do here was take the movie and then rewrite it from scratch as a novel.
Oh wow.
So there's a lot of stuff in here from the movie. There's a lot of stuff in here that changes what happened in the movie completely. It's not the same stuff that happens in the movie. And then there's also stuff in the movie that they go just in way deeper on. Like the movie that DiCaprio is filming, the Western, they go and give you like a ton of backstory on that, like chapters upon chapters, or the dog, Brad Pitt's dog, that he's like, he goes, and then the dog knows exactly what to do. There's a whole backstory behind that. And I bring all that up to connect to the point about Brad Pitt's, the ambiguity of the character. But in the movie, he mostly comes across as charming and lovable. In the book, not so much. The character is a lot more edgy and a little less likable in the book.
I'm curious what changed. Like, what did he do that wasn't at all the same?
I mean, I read this like 3 years ago during the pandemic, so I would be hard pressed to highlight specific examples. But I do remember there were things in there that I was like, that directly contradicts what happened in the movie. Not major stuff, not major plot points. What's that?
I'm going to ask you to borrow that.
I will leave it here for you, sir. Yeah, remind me before I walk out with it. Yeah, it was a good read. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, because you mentioned Sharon Tate and the whole, Manson angle and stuff. And I had like a solid 2 weeks where I was just watching like stuff related to that whole era of crime. And I had seen something where Christopher Walken was on a boat.
Yes.
And he was present for an actress's drowning.
Yeah, what was her name?
Yeah,
and
I forget.
I'm just thinking, the whole time about how like charming Christopher Walken is, but then he's like implicated. So like that whole like charming actor may have killed wife.
Right.
Is a common like media narrative or a common unfortunate crime story.
Honestly, it's interesting because I was thinking about that story as I was watching that flashback. I'm like, oh, this is just like the whole thing with Christopher Walken. They're on a boat and she's like badgering him or whatever. And I'm like, I wonder if he's intentionally trying to like channel that idea, which I gotta give Tarantino that probable credit because it's like this is what he does,
Probably. It was Natalie Wood.
Natalie Wood, that's that's it.
81. Yeah. So much after the era, but like
nonetheless
a common story, unfortunately.
This is one of those, again, he tells you an awesome story and it's firmly in that revisionist thing where again he sort of takes the whole Manson like mystique away by just destroying it in the end. But I found myself afterwards like doing some research on the whole Charlie Manson stuff because it's like I knew a little bit about it, but I'm like, I want to know a little bit more. Watching some of his crazy ass fucking interviews from prison, like that dude.
Oh yeah.
And you know what's even more disturbing is you watch like a YouTube video, it's like, oh, with Diane Sawyer and a Charles Manson interview, and it's like all these comments saying like this guy's a genius. All blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, he's a fucking paranoid schizophrenic.
Right.
He's clearly like off his rocker. And these people think he's some kind of like brilliant person. It's like the dude was psychotic.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because he didn't actually hold the knife in his hand or the gun doesn't mean that he is not just as guilty as the people who did that heinous, disgusting act. And that is one of the things, like Mike, you said, this is one of your favorite movies. You love it. And that's the one thing about this movie I love the most is that he retcons or revises one of the most despicable things that's ever happened. Like, an 8.5-month old pregnant woman.
Right.
And what happens to her. And it gives us that little bit of like, maybe in another universe, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, we're skipping ahead to the end, but while we're on the point, I love the way he takes some of the historical detail and he completely takes the teeth out of it. Like, for example, when Tex, that's what the guy's name is, right?
Tex. Yeah. That's his real name in real life.
Yeah. Right. And he is supposed to have said, I am the devil and I am here to do the devil's work, right? That's supposed to be a real historical line. And it's not, given what they did, that sounds like terrifying, right?
Yeah.
So the way Tarantino does it in this movie is, Brad Pitt's trying to figure, he's like, I know you. Where do I know you from? And he goes, who are you? And he goes, I'm the devil. And I'm here to do the devil's work. And the way the actor delivers it, it is creepy as shit. It could have worked. Except then Tarantino has this long, awkward pause and Brad Pitt goes, no, it was dumber than that. It was something like Rex or Tex, and he completely robs that guy of his exactly.
Yes, he starts giggling because he's high as shit.
Right? Oh my god, Brad Pitt is fucking awesome in that scene. That like shit-eating stoner grin that he's got the whole time. He looks over at that one girl in the back, and he like waves to her, and she just glares at him menacingly. And then he looks back at Tex, and he's like. And he does that like thumb, like he like rolls his eyes at her.
I wouldn't forget that hair. I know you.
And he goes, and you were on a horsey.
Yes. The horsey.
I love how he's got so many moving parts in this movie that all come together too. With like he bought this acid dip cigarette,
right?
And he leaves it in the guy's thing, and it's tonight the night. And he's talking to the dog. They go for a walk. The car goes. It's
Yeah, he's
all
got
the
that cool ass
machinery
line
coming
too as
together.
he's leaving from the house with the dog. He goes, and away we go.
Yeah.
After he smokes that thing.
Yeah.
Then as he's doing that is when the car's pulling up and they have that like, you know, ridiculous conversation in there where she's like, take this, man. I've been expanding on this idea. Like, what if we kill all these fascists, man? You know, like that shit's hilarious. And like they want so badly to be like these terrifying specters of homicidal lunatics, but they're just clownish. And that's what happens when, again, I mean, we've skipped the whole movie at this point, but like DiCaprio coming out like, yeah, you asshole, get that. And he comes down and he's yelling at him and stuff. And he's like, now take this hunk of shit, get it the fuck off my street.
Oh, you keep waiting for the pull the gun out and just gun him down, but he's like, okay, man, okay. And then he backs off.
Turn around, And but the way he says that, and then he sips that entire pitcher of margaritas. Yes. Fucking hilarious.
You mean like drinking an entire glass of milk and sitting in a cottage? Like, this is another thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah, true.
It's definitely interesting to think, like, I mean, Tarantino's got to be a hippie hater, right? Like, I mean, the way they come across throughout this whole movie, like, oh, we love our pussy.
Right.
You know, it's like everything in it is
Thanks
just.
for bringing pussy home.
Yeah. We do. You know, it's like, it's ludicrous. It makes fun of it. They live in squalor. They have this, like, bizarre cultishness to them. It's like everything about them is just like unsettling. And you're like, these people are not right.
Right.
And just like, when he goes to visit Spawn Ranch, when he finally drops the girl off and she's like, I want to suck your dick while I'm driving home. I was like, how old are you? And like, at that moment, that's when I bought into that character being morally okay. And he probably didn't kill his wife because he's like, I'm not going to jail for poontang, you know. And
he's like, do you have some form of ID? And she goes, come on, are you fucking serious? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, I'm fucking serious. He goes, I need to see some ID, which you don't have because you're not.
Yeah, exactly. He's so like good natured about it. He's like, how's this guy doing? I want to see my old friend George.
Right.
Is he right over there? Yeah. And then she's basically like, I'll take care of this guy. And then he's like, no, I think I want to see for myself. You know? And I kept thinking he's going to walk into that dude's bedroom and it's going to be a corpse with flies and it's going to be, oh shit, now he's going to have to fight his way out of this fucking thing. And nah, dude's just there. It was Bruce Dern, right?
Bruce Dern.
He's just there and he's fucking cantankerous as always. And it's like, well shit, that was a little bit of a, what do you call that? Isn't that like a thematic thing? Like where it builds you up for this, like a false climax or something?
Anticlimax.
I guess it would be an anticlimax.
Anticlimactic, yeah. Bruce Dern is fucking, he's always fun. I always enjoyed Bruce Dern. But he's great there too, because Brad Pitt keeps trying to he's like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this, right? So he keeps trying, he's like, he goes, I have to watch the show. I have to take a nap so I can stay awake to watch the show. If I don't, she gets upset. And he goes, what happens if she gets upset, George? And he goes, nothing. I just don't like to let her down.
Yeah. You expect like some sort of creepy, mother gets upset or something like that. But no.
I fucked the shit out of him this morning, so he's real tired. Jesus shit.
Is that the redhead out there? And he goes, the fuck is wrong with you? You act like I didn't just tell you I was blind.
Well, I'm really touched. I don't even know who you are, but you came to see me.
Yeah. Bruce Dern he's a gem, man. I always enjoy him. He's good.
I did really like that part too when he's leaving and they're all just staring at like Valley of the Dolls, like weirdness.
Right.
And he sees the knife in the tire and the guy's like,
Dude's
you do this?
Shit, yeah.
And he just laughs at him and he's just like, come here, and he just beats the shit out of him. And it's
fix it.
And then they got the whole like Texas riding back. Oh shit! But now he's driving.
No, he's long gone by the time he gets back.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of misdirection that way. He creates all this tension, like they're all sitting there staring at him and go get Tex and he's going to ride back and everything. And Brad Pitt's staring at the distance like, is he going to come? But then none of that happens. Beats the shit out of the dude. The dude changes the tire. He's out of there.
I think the woman who was sort of like in charge too, if you look at the historical stuff, I think that might have been, Manson's wife or like girlfriend or something who had his first kid.
Yeah.
Like Mama Cass, I think they called her.
Yeah.
Not the real Mama Cass. Like, I think that was his nickname.
Yeah. Some of those characters are real. All the people that came to the house are real historical people. One of those people just got out of jail recently. She's like an old lady now and she got released.
Yeah.
So, let's back it up a little bit, I guess. There's the cool part where they go their separate ways, right? Leonardo DiCaprio goes to work and Brad Pitt goes to work on his house.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I need you to fix the antenna. Basically, he's like his everyman. Like, just do whatever I got to do because I'm going to be the one making the money.
Right.
You know, so you got to just do this stuff for me. And he's like, they're bros. He's taking care of them. But,
but I love how much of this movie is the atmosphere, the ambiance, the pop culture. Because I mean, Brad Pitt drops him off, drives home, and it's just him driving through Hollywood, and we get all these different snippets of all these great old songs. Of course, he lives in a trailer behind a drive-in movie theater.
Yeah.
He goes in, he puts on a movie, like an old-ass movie that he's watching. Then there's the great scene, like we just left DiCaprio's gorgeous pad. Now we're in this squalid trailer, and he's making that nasty shit for his dog. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a hangout movie. Like, so much of this movie that you don't have a clear understanding of what the plot is, and yet every scene is just its own self-contained, brilliant little thing.
I love how that does establish like his dog relationship, and how well trained the dog is. So you know when he goes at the end, like that dog knows exactly what to fucking do at that moment.
Right now, was that a wine? I don't want to, but I will take all this shit, throw it right out in the garbage. So and movies are another thing. It's not just the music. Like there's so many scenes here where people have movies on in the background, or they're talking about movies, or there's the one where it's Sharon Tate, but the actress is Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
You know, she goes into the theater to watch herself in the movie, and it's the real Sharon Tate.
The actual movie.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all really
nice
cool.
touch.
I mean, so movies and music are just like all throughout this movie.
That was interesting because her film, it was the real film, but there were other moments where they had actual film snippets that they put DiCaprio in, or he put other stuff into it.
The Great Escape.
Yes.
They were having that conversation about he was up for Steve McQueen's part.
Yes.
And so they reimagined the Nazi war camp, but with DiCaprio playing the Steve McQueen part. Yeah. And speaking of that, there's where she goes to like the party. Sharon Tate does it. I think it's the Playboy Mansion. And that, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but that's supposed to be Steve McQueen. It's an actor, obviously, playing Steve McQueen. Yeah. But he's the one who's going like, she was engaged to him.
Yeah.
And she left him for him, you know, and like does that whole thing.
But there's kind of a throuple.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And now they're all friends.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm really glad though that Polanski had a very minor like part in this whole thing.
Yeah.
That guy
is
problematic.
Yeah,
absolutely.
To say the least.
Yeah.
But you know, it's that ties into the theme a little bit too, because, you know, DiCaprio's supposed to be like this actor who's past his prime. You know, whenever anybody talks to him or about him, it's always like, oh, I had a lunchbox of, what the fuck was the character he played in that Western show? Where Al Pacino talking about all the great things he used to do, right?
Right.
And now he's like this has-been. And Polanski is always talked about in this movie as like this great auteur, this up and coming, like he is the hot director. Rosemary's Baby. Like everyone is just like, he is absolutely the shit. Yeah. And yet 90% of that guy's career has been, everyone's kind of like, oh fuck. Like, you know, it's like, he's like you said, he's problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. A 90-foot pole is not far enough to keep him.
And he's got that weird Austin Powers affect too, and most of it. And there's a lot of awkward stuff going on that he just sort of like just puts it's there, like the throuple thing, or you know that or just a lot of other stuff. But I guess to its credit, it just sort of just progresses under its own momentum in a way where that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
right? It doesn't matter.
Well, I presume honestly that a lot of the 60s and the 70s were kind of like that in general. You know, so with the inclusion of the Manson, I don't want to say subplot, but like the Manson line and that sort of thing. It just kind of makes me think, that was the atmosphere of the time.
Right.
Really, just part of it. Right. Everything was fucking weird, man.
I do love the whole DiCaprio, like his arc is that he didn't actually like fade away completely. And he didn't like have this rebirth of being incredible again.
Right.
He went and did spaghetti westerns.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was like mildly successful.
Right.
He spent most of his money on his apartment when he was there and finding this wife, this hot dish that he brings back with him.
Yeah.
But it's like, he made some money. He's fine.
Right.
He's not a megastar anymore. He's still basically where he was when he started. So like nothing really changes for that character.
Right.
But I think he gets that awesome, like that sort of I don't want to say like happy ending kind of in a way, but he has nothing at all to do with the ending. Like that is all Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt handles everything essentially.
Well, as he has all film.
Exactly. Right. And then it's like he has the hero moment when the chick goes blasting through the glass door and she's like screaming, ah, ah! And he finally realizes what the fuck's going on. And he just like, he falls off of his thing, gets out of the pool, and like, we're thinking like, where the fuck is he? Is he running away? Cause he's not a stuntman, he's not a real legit dude. He comes back out with the fucking flamethrower from that one movie he did.
Yeah, the Five Fists of McCluskey or whatever. Yeah.
And fucking torches are in the pool.
And the shit is so funny the way Tarantino films it too, because you get the sense that he's just running away terrified. Yeah. Because the camera is all on her. She's up front. She's shrieking like an exorcism thing, right? Yeah. And in the distance, you see him hopping out of the pool and running off in this comical way, right? And then after that, all of a sudden, the camera cuts to like the shed that he ran into, and he kicks the door open. And he's got the fucking thing, and he just roasts her.
It's that like where everything you're led to believe about these characters completely changed. Like, you know what? Fuck that.
Right.
They're gonna get their day, and all of these assholes, they're gonna get what's due. Right. And I love that part where basically that's where history completely changes. Yeah. And leading up to that, he was talking about like was it Kurt Russell? Was the narrator at that point?
Yeah.
Talking about at this point, this happens, and like all the lights are going on and the neon, like classic stuff, and all that. Right. It almost felt like
they go to the two different Mexican restaurants.
Yes. Yeah, it had a real dazed and confused feeling at that point. Right. I was like, wow, it's really like that kind of like feeling. Right. Yeah. And then it goes, at this time they had this dinner and they went there, and then at this point they were coming here. Right. And it's all like this is exactly how it went. Until DiCaprio comes out with his margaritas and lights them up for being assholes, and that's when it changes. Like, oh, we should kill the people who taught us to kill. Right. And that's when they decide they're not going to kill everybody there. They're going to kill him.
You ready to kill some piggies? You know, all that shit. And, I mean, that shit's great. And it's like, unlike Inglourious Bastards or Django Unchained, the rest of the movie isn't leading you to think you're going to get that kind of ending, right? It's not all this over the top shit the whole time.
Right.
It's a pretty subdued movie as far as Tarantino movies go. So that shit kind of catches you off guard at first. Like Brad Pitt, like slamming that girl into the telephone.
Repeatedly.
And then the mantle, that's like the worst one. You can literally hear the bone crunching in her face. And
you know, it's awful, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, but she fucking deserves
it. It's the fucking Manson people. Yeah, exactly.
I love Maya Hawke's character too. I mean, that's Uma Thurman's daughter, played the one who got away. She was like, oh, I left my whatever in the car, or my meth or whatever in the car. Give me the keys. Right. And she's dries off.
She's just gone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. And I think I already talked about this, but DiCaprio coming out and screaming at them, this mechanical asshole, like it just fucking kills. That's why I think like the more times I watch this movie, I'm like, I think this is DiCaprio's movie. I think he does such a wonderful over the top job in this movie, which at this point, I want to circle back to that whole sequence where he's filming that like walk-on part that he has in that Western TV show.
That new TV show, he's the heavy.
Yeah. Because he's fucking amazing in that. You know, I love
after he like psychs himself up in the trailer. He's like, what was that? What the fuck was that?
Which I think I read before was improvised.
Was it?
I mean, like obviously, like that was supposed to happen in the trailer, but I don't think the lines were written or something. I think DiCaprio improvised a lot of that. Like, couldn't just stop at 2 drinks. You had to have 8 fucking whiskey sours, you know? And he's screaming at himself in the mirror. And, you know, I mean, that shit is fucking great. All the stuff before that is awesome because he starts out acting pretty well, you know, and then it all just falls apart and he gets creepy as hell. He's like, line. And the director's trying to be like, use that. And he's like, oh, I'm going to use it. And you can see like the main actor is all like a little uncomfortable with the way this is going. Yeah. DiCaprio's got that ridiculous handlebar mustache and that like goofy coat that he's wearing.
The scene with the little girl actress though.
And that is the best fucking scene right there, man. And it's I call it that because the first time you watch that scene, it's entertaining. But this, you know, you come back to that scene and you're like, oh man, there's just so much happening here. So the first time you watch it, it's fun. Like he walks up, like he sits down, like he's trying to talk to her and she's like this fucking smart ass 8-year-old method actor, you know, and he's like, who are you? And she says her character's name. And he's like, no, who are you? And she's like, no, I prefer to be called by my character on set, you know, like all that shit.
I don't like names like Pudding Pie.
Yeah, Pumpkin Puss,
Pumpkin Puss, yeah.
But since you're upset, we'll talk about that later. You know, that actress, whoever she is, she's fucking great.
Yeah,
you know?
she was awesome.
Anyways, that's all funny. He starts crying about the book, you know, and everything. But then you come back and you're like, this is actually like, you know, on two different levels, like this is a pretty profound scene, right? Because on one level, it's a reflection of Hollywood of that era. You know, there were the actors like the Humphrey Bogarts or the, you know, the Dean Martins, you know, the people who just, it was like, I read the lines, you know, and it's like, that's what you did. You went in front of the camera and you read the lines. And then in the late 50s, you had Marlon Brando and the method acting thing happen. And now by the late 60s, when this movie is set, you had all these, you know, disciples of that school, right? So it's him confronting that. It's him like, he's the old school, she's the method actor. So all that's going on. And then, you know, at its most fundamental level, it's just his midlife crisis. You know what I mean? He's talking about easy breezy, but it's obviously about him. You know, how far are you into the book? About halfway, you know, and he starts, he's not as good as he used to be. He's not the best anymore. You know, like all that shit.
Yeah. I had that same thought too about how it's that transitional period between where Hollywood was more focused on the star.
Yeah.
It was all about the person playing the character was the draw.
Yeah.
But then it transitioned to that. No, it's the character that's the draw. It's you're going to see the acting and be immersed in it.
Right.
And that's where you see that, like, that crossover where he goes from being the guy who played that guy to being like, that was the best acting I've ever seen.
Right, exactly.
Like he just like lets it all hang out because he's like, well, he learned something from that little girl and by just letting it go and channeling things.
Yeah, you went from John Wayne always playing John Wayne, Humphrey Bogart, who I love. I don't mean this as an insult, but Humphrey Bogart always playing Humphrey Bogart.
Right.
You know, to Marlon Brando as Stanley Kowalski in Streetcar Named Desire, or Terry Malloy in On the Waterfront. You know, I mean,
that's what saves his career too.
Would absolutely disappear into the character to bring the character to life. And, so all that's great. And then that scene you were talking about, the where he kind of does that at the end, where is it Luke Perry that walks in at that point?
It is. I
think that's his last role.
I had to look it up. I'm like, holy shit.
Sad.
I think that was his last role, right? But he does, that whole intense thing where you can literally see like his eyes bulging and
throws her on the ground.
Yeah, right.
I was wearing padding. Yeah. It's okay.
Right. Yeah. She's, that actress is great. She's hilarious. The stuff she says. She goes, I throw myself on the ground for fun, even when I'm not acting.
Yeah.
But I forgot about that line.
You mentioned like that. This is DiCaprio's movie, but man, I got to go back and say like he is a certain like heart of his role for sure. But I really think it's Pitt, man.
That's what I thought the first time I saw it too. So you're not going to get an argument from me. I think that it's excellent.
I thought we were going to have a dissension cast.
I'm coming over to the table now.
Yeah. You beat me to it.
We haven't had any bells yet this whole night.
It's been very somber tonight.
Yeah. I just feel like Pitt had more of the center of everything, because without like his story and him being there at the right time and still being that last night that he was going to be attached to DiCaprio's figure. That's the only reason he's there is because this is what happens when you separate this kind of partnership. You get drunk together, and he just was there because that was what was preordained.
Right.
And if he wasn't there, then none of that Manson shit would have gone correctly the way that Tarantino wanted it to. They would have come in, they would have killed DiCaprio's new wife, then they would have killed him.
Right.
And that would have been the end of it. But because Pitt's character is there, the whole fucking thing changes.
Right.
And we got that all established when he's beating the shit out of fucking Bruce Lee. Fucking Bruce Lee.
That's a scene we should talk about.
He never lost a fight, right? Like Bruce Lee kicks everyone's ass.
So this is a scene I keenly remember laughing at in the theater. And I fucking love Bruce Lee. I've seen a bunch of his movies. I've said in previous casts that I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan. So at a certain point in my life, I went back and watched a lot of these old martial arts movies because, Wu-Tang always sampled those movies in their music. So I've seen a bunch of his movies. I think he's great. Enter the Dragon. That shit's fucking awesome, right? And when I saw that scene in the theater, it didn't occur to me that it was offensive in any way. I was like, it's kind of funny. It's like Bruce Lee's characters were always cocky in the movies. You know, he was the character, not the man. The character was cocky in the movies. And this is supposed to be an extension of a Bruce Lee character. And it's meant to just be funny. Like, what if Bruce Lee fought a guy in real life who's like a badass war hero who might have killed his wife, you know? And, but that, afterwards it generated controversy. Like Bruce Lee's family and estate like found it offensive and they felt it didn't represent him as a person. And then there was like allegations that this was somehow a caricature and maybe even racist. And Tarantino took a lot of heat for that scene. Yeah, it's all on the internet. You can go read about it.
Interesting.
I think it's bullshit. I mean, I just think people need to have a sense of humor.
I don't see racism
like,
in there.
I just think people need to have a sense of humor, man. Like, it's just, honestly, it's just like, dude, wouldn't it be funny if Brad Pitt fought Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
And it's not an autobiography of Bruce Lee. It's not trying to tell you, like, this is what the man was like. It's just trying to say, like, okay, let's take the guy you know from Enter the Dragon, that character, right? And let's have Brad Pitt fight him. Like, that's as far as that
clearly
goes,
he's
man.
playing this pompous, I know everything about, like, fighting a man and that kind of thing, and that's why he laughs at him and they have that moment. He throws him in the car. It's awesome.
What would happen if you fought Muhammad Ali? I would make him a cripple.
Yeah. It's like Bruce, I can't see Bruce Lee ever saying
something. Nobody who knows him would actually felt that.
No. So I found the whole thing like absurd. Yes. But that's, that was a very, became a controversial scene. So I don't know. I thought it was hilarious,
Yeah. Maybe because the whole movie didn't quite have that tone.
Yeah.
As opposed to Django, which was like clearly parodying the entire Western and then slavery institutions.
Right.
That's why it got flack. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. But I remember watching it the first time and I just enjoyed it very much. I thought it was funny, you're kind of pretty for a stuntman, I'm not saying anything funny. So what are you laughing at?
Yeah.
It's like, you kind of did.
We've been, as typical Tarantino fashion, a little out of order.
Yeah.
So did we cover everything? There was
a little
there.
stuff we missed.
It's funny.
It's only been an hour, guys. We've got 3 more booked out for this.
Has it been an hour?
It has been an hour.
I think it's about that.
Fast. We've, the last few casts, I think we have gone in order because they're more plot-driven movies.
Yeah.
This is just it's like Pulp Fiction. It's just such a hangout movie. You can come in and out of it. There's scenes that you like. You could pick it up at any point. You could watch it out of order. Like, it's just one of those movies. That's another thing I really enjoy about it.
Yeah. It's a return to form in a way.
Yeah.
So if you think about the retrospecticus of Tarantino's career,
do you need me to turn and cough? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. The obviously Mike is putting this at the pinnacle of Tarantino Mountain for the moment until we see what happens with this final film.
Yeah, pending the last one. Yeah.
Adam, what do you think?
Oh, so I think I got spoiled with the plot, the like acting in the plot driven nature of Django.
Yeah.
And I had actually told, I don't remember if it was the full cast chat, or if it was just to you, Mike, that I said, like, I think I found a new favorite.
Yeah.
But I actually meant Django when I said that.
Oh, gotcha.
And I didn't want to say it then because I was just waiting for like this conversation to say it, but so like
Django is so good, man.
Django is so good. I'm going to go back and rewatch this one.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to buy it yet.
Right.
I probably will. When they do like the Tarantino 10 download retrospective for $130, then I'll buy it. I think it's, that is hard. Because right now I'm thinking like Django Pulp.
Yeah.
Hollywood. Or Django Hollywood Pulp. Like I have to sit and think about that more.
Yeah, there's no wrong order of Tarantino movies.
Yeah, there really isn't.
Unless you put Death Proof at the top, then you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, then you're a certain kind of Tarantino fan.
That's right.
Yeah. But that's where I'm at right now.
Like, no, I told people for years after Django came out that I thought it was one of the very few finest films of the 21st century. It was in the conversation for my favorite Tarantino film. Like I said, just until I saw this one, Once Upon a Time. There seems to be a trend with me. Like when everyone came last,
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you guys. for me, the quintessential Tarantino like moment still comes from Kill Bill 1 and 2. I put those, and I guess that's more of an experiential thing. Like, it's like that, like the first kind of feeling for me. It was like really my first cinema experience with Tarantino, and not watching it at home, but watching it in a theater. And, I guess it's the nostalgia factor that keeps it in my head, is like, no, that's my quintessential Tarantino experience, is like watching Kill Bill and being in awe of just like how awesomely absurd it was. And like you've all said, all of his films, to a very small extent, Death Proof, but like 8 out of 9 of the films are just imminently rewatchable. Yeah, I will sit there all day and be like, "Oh, that's on," or "I'm going to put that on," because if you want just to have a good cinema experience, you cannot go wrong with any of these movies. No, you can't. And I gotta say, Hollywood is up there. Even Hateful Eight is up there for me. There's so much to love about that too. For me, I go back to just the all the stuff that came together in Kill Bill 1 and then 2, that I look at that as my top of Tarantino mountain.
Well, I mean, while we're doing our retrospecticus, is that what we call this?
God bless you.
Yeah. Thank you. I put this at the top. The reason, that I would, maybe give it the edge over Pulp Fiction is because Pulp Fiction is brilliant in that sense of what it did at its time and how influential it became and how rewatchable it is. But the way in which I think Once Upon a Time is slightly superior to it is that Once Upon a Time gives me so much to think about that Pulp Fiction doesn't. It's a gangster film, right? And Once Upon a Time is like, man, I'm thinking about old Hollywood and how culture has changed. I'm thinking about like the movies, the music. I'm thinking about the historical stuff. I'm thinking about aging and mortality and the past versus like our present selves. I'm thinking about relationships because so much of the movie is Dalton and Brad Pitt's character. I mean, to me, there's so many themes in this movie that really resonate with me walking away. That's why I give it the slight edge. I would put Pulp Fiction next for the reasons I already stated. And then it's sort of like a, A-B thing in terms of like, I would put Django and Inglourious right after Pulp Fiction, maybe even with it. I think both of those two movies are just so fucking good.
Well, in true nerds fashion, we have not agreed. But in this case,
but disagreed.
Yeah. In this case, we all had our own thing.
Right.
Yeah. So
you guys are wrong, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, no. I would agree with that.
I agree that you guys are wrong. Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Fuck!
There we go.
All right. We got it all in there.
Yeah, so watch them all is our recommendation.
Yeah,
book out a weekend. Yep. Make it like Pokemon. Watch them all.
Yeah. Watch the movie. Listen to the Nerds Cast. Watch the next movie. Listen to the Nerds Cast.
Yep. That would be
Cannot go wrong.
Book 2 weekends.
Right.
Because we add just as much as Tarantino does.
Yeah. It seems that way. People are going to create casts about these casts. They're going to do that.
Yeah. I really do think that they peaked in season. I don't know. I'm not going to.
Season 2 is a good one.
When are they going to realize that we're just AI voices and none of this is real?
Stop it! Why did you break me? Yeah. It's not a tool!
The sound of your MP3 player exploding.
Oh no.
Or the truth that this is actually a one-man cast with 3 different voices.
Ooh.
Whoa.
One character actor?
Sometimes at the same time. It's really talented.
It's pretty amazing.
There's this software called GarageBand where you can just record and then you just copy-paste it and then you just hit the auto-tune button.
Oh, okay. There would be ways to do this. I could record an entire cast of one voice with pauses. Then I can create a whole second one that plays against it.
We are
Check
split.
Out this motherfucker. He's out of the cast.
Dude.
Must be out of your goddamn mind.
Man, let's get us free of some of my weekends. Huh?
Well, you know what? Actually, this isn't too far off from where we're going. We've got some surprises for you, listeners. One of them being we're going to read Jordan Peele's collection of modern horror called Out There Screaming. So that's not too much of a surprise because it's a return to form for us going back to literature. And we're going to disagree about everything except for one piece, I think, which we've already kind of like side chatted before.
Which will either receive our unanimous love or extreme hatred.
Oh, I think they know which one.
Yeah, I think they
know.
do.
And we've been throwing around this idea of playing with ChatGPT and having a ChatGPT read aloud.
Oh, yeah.
Afternoon.
Yeah, that'd be a ton of fun.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah, as teachers, I've been playing with it for fun, and I've been doing things like, write me a spaghetti western. Now set it in space. Write me a Lovecraftian.
Are we going to do like a radio drama?
I think we could do that.
Oh, dear God. I'm so hard for that idea.
I'm
the one sitting closest to Shaun, so I'm not sure how to react right now.
What's that sound?
At the table. Aw. I believe you dropped your pen. But, some ideas coming up. For sure, we're going to do the Jordan Peele piece next. Out There Screaming came out about 2 months ago. Maybe a month and a half. And, maybe we'll be robots from ChatGPT.
That sounds so cool.
That would be fun.
All right. Until then, dear listeners, thank you so much for your time. We are at Nerds of the Old Republic at gmail.com. Fuck all social media.
Yeah.
Just immediately write to us. That's fine.
Yes, thank you.
We've quit it.
Social media is the precipitous of the downfall of society.
Indeed. And I'm done trying to figure out what the fuck you call the thing you do on X. Am I Xing? Am I, I don't get it. What's the verb now?
You're crisscrossing.
It does make me want to jump. Oh, fuck me. I'm sorry.
Don't try to compare us to another bad little fad.
Whoa. Wow, damn. Yes, that was a well-earned moment.
On that note, cheers.
Cheers.